Okay, I'm now calling this meeting of the RTM Rules Committee Technology Subcommittee. That's the 3 members of the committee, and Krista is our honored guest. So thank you for coming, Krista.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is how we're going to proceed. We're going to follow the agenda as much as we can, but we're also going to, after we get to a certain point, we're going to go off into executive session because some of the work that we've been doing has to do with security in relationship to meetings, and therefore we're going to go into executive session for that. We're going to come out of executive session and then report on the summary of what we did and how we're going to report that going forward. And Krista, please join us in the executive session. Okay, so you don't have to go anywhere. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, this is going to be new for me, share my screen. Show, these are the minutes from the last meeting that we had, which was January 10th, 2022.
I can see one typo.
Really? Oh, that's pretty funny. Go. Where?
Mrs. Snyder looked off the meeting.
Okay, sorry, I'm not supposed to laugh on my own meeting. Okay, so that we will fix.
Were these my minutes? Hang on, were they? No, these are my. Oh my goodness! All right.
So we will correct that.
Well, you didn't misspell the word.
It was the computer.
Grammarly would not have caught that. Nobody would have
caught it. It's very interesting that we were apparently talking about hybrid meetings, since that's what we're going to go talk about. So we're just going to, this is what was discussed at that meeting. Is there any questions, or are we ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Me too. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, minutes approved. I'm going to stop sharing. The next thing, okay, so the next topic, which we're going to do in executive session, is virtual meetings, our options and our needs. And this came as a result of the snowstorm on Monday, that if we had wanted to do a virtual meeting, we really weren't able, we would not have been able to do it. So we need to go back to, we've been going back to the drawing board on that, and we'll discuss a lot of what we're finding. And the reason we're going to go into executive session is because of security, because a lot of the issues we need to do have to do with access to the meeting, and more so for voting. Then we also want to do a discussion on emails, which we'll talk about in executive session, because some of the concerns there, and we'll bring back the results, and we'll come back and do the Cando availability and the town hall auditorium technology. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep, yes. That's fine with me.
Okay, then I am going to pause the recording and go to.
Okay.
Okay, we are back completing our executive session. Couple of things came up that we are going to, we're going to talk about the need and use of virtual meetings and the need and use of email technology. And I think the top line net of that is that we're going to bring these things up in the rules meeting and ask rules to confirm what criteria the rules committee wants, and how much we should investigate, and where we should go with it, so that we make sure we're spending our time and energy on things that the rules committee really wants. And so we will work up some questions to ask at the rules committee meeting. Okay. I don't remember what we said before, but the idea in virtual meetings is we need the ability to, right now we don't have it, and we need the ability to handle virtual meetings, at least we think we do, depending on what the rules committee decides. And some of the technology, we're in the middle of looking at what the technology potential is. So that's that piece. The other piece is emails. And that has come up again to say how much access, what names get posted, and how do we handle it. And we'll talk about that in the rules meeting and see whether the rules committee believes we should change what we're doing now, and if so, what are the criteria that we're talking about? Does anyone else want to add anything to that? Okay, then Mike, why don't you do a pretty quick thing on the Cando, the hybrid?
We have this hybrid machine, which is the next generation of what the other side of the town has um, of the meeting
Yeah.
owl. The Candow, the only difference is you don't have to connect a computer to it to operate. It's actually a little Android computer that can operate. We did the Darien TV 79 advisory committee meeting a couple of weeks ago with it. We worked on it with it today. The hard part we're having is getting wireless Wi-Fi access, so we have to use Ethernet. The downside of using Ethernet is, the good side is that it worked perfectly. The bad news is it turns off the wireless Wi-Fi in the room while the meeting's going on. So people have to depend on their cellular phones if they're have to do something on their phones or step outside. But the device works fine, and we're going to use it for the Rules Committee meeting Monday night because one of the members is away, and so she's going to come in using the Candow.
Mike, if I could just ask a question, how does it shut down the Wi-Fi? Is Wi-Fi being shut down to use the Ethernet, or is it just some sort of?
That's what George told me. It shuts down the wireless Wi-Fi.
Just in that room, right? Or somewhere else?
Just in that room. It shuts it down if you use the Ethernet.
Isn't that weird? Okay.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Yeah.
I still nobody should be on their phones anyway, so it's not a problem.
Okay, so Krista, I don't know if you're available, but if you want to come to the rules meeting, we're going to be discussing some of this stuff again. So put your toe better, you get to put both feet in. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely. And back on for the Rules Committee meeting, that agenda was revised with the link and published on the website. So I don't know if anyone else is going to take advantage of that feature, just FYI.
Yeah, that's my link because I'm doing the.
Okay, because it's public. Wayne had opined that needs to get also out to the public.
Yeah, no, that's what I would expect. The other, well, I'm going to skip that. Okay. So now the Town Hall Auditorium technology, if you remember back a little while ago, ARPA funds are designated to upgrade the technology in the Town Hall Auditorium. Kate, our town administrator, has done an excellent job in getting a proposal out to have a design phase. And the proposal is with Jeff DeMeo and his organization to come up with a design phase. The project will include interviewing the relevant people and coming up with a proposal on what kind of coming up with a recommendation on the kind of technology we should do. And then based on that, there'll be another phase of the implementation of the technology. So far, Mike and I are both on the committee, as well as Jim Cameron. Kate will handle who else in Town Hall should be. But is there anyone else anybody thinks should be on the committee? Krista, I don't know. You can talk to Kate if you want to be on it, because it's her group. If you want to be interviewed, is basically what's happening. We're not the deciding committee. We're just going to talk about what our requirements are. It's Kate's project. Okay. But there's anyone, somebody mentioned, Jim Cameron mentioned that to make sure that somebody from Public Works was part of the committee, and I'm sure Kate is handling that. But
right, because they handle all the building, so they would have to be involved. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I just sent it to Kate with the assumption that she's already.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question though. What does this technology upgrade relate to that we haven't already covered?
Being able to offer virtual capabilities in the auditorium.
Hybrid capability.
Hybrid opportunities.
Right. Okay. So this dovetails with that Candow.
The Candow can only really work in conference rooms. It doesn't have the wherewithal to do big rooms. And so it's the same kind of thing that they have at the Board of Education. It's the same thing that we do with the DCA. And every company has them now. That's why it's so hard to find someone to do the work, because every company in a pandemic world needs hybrid solutions, and they're book solid.
And just to be clear, the intention is not to start doing hybrid meetings. But at this point, rules can change that depending on who, and we'll have that discussion. But the project is to have the ability to do that. And at least as somebody, we need a presentation from somebody and they're located in Nevada or someplace, that we can do that, because we can be able to broadcast their voice into the room and have their picture up on the screen. So that's the minimal that we want to do, whether or not.
Last Monday was a good example. We might have gone ahead and had the rules committee meeting if our speaker in Hartford, we could have brought in on a big screen and he addressed it from, so he didn't have to make the drive from Hartford.
And it's going to raise up the issues that we were discussing, which is voting and security. So this is the technology which should be in place, and then it's a separate decision of how we use it and what we want to do with it.
Agreed. I'd forgotten about the inability of Candow to work in the auditorium.
Okay.
And then as far as that voting, assuming kind of this moves forward, is that viewed as being present to vote when you're in a hybrid scenario?
For the committees, because right now, if our understanding is that if we have a rules meeting and we can put somebody on a phone in the room, that they can vote and it's valid. That is our understanding of FOIA.
Yeah, the exception from the governor is still in effect.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm sort of looking this big picture. If that changes in any way, does the town code for voting on RTM meetings, for example, for a caucus, you can vote by paper. You can be absent and vote for a caucus, which I just learned. But RTM, you have to be present. And if the rules change from Hartford, will that impact how the RTM operates in a hybrid environment? Are they still considered present when the town code is written? You have to be present. If the meeting is in person with a handful of people remotely, can they still vote? Are they still identified as being present?
It sounds like a FOIA question for Monday night to me.
Right. No, I guess, is it how much?
Well, it sounded like from what you would learn from Tracy that they have to be present. If they have COVID, they may be out in the parking lot, but they're on the property.
Yeah, and that's the way that the Hartford is run. But whether that's the way we all have to run, I don't know. And
what if you're in Florida? You're at your
I don't know.
Snowbird home in Florida.
Let's set aside these legal questions from the technology question. Let's find out.
Yeah,
right now we're trying
right. That's
good.
true.
It's good. He's coming Monday.
Yeah. So I think we want the ability, and we'll decide how to use it.
Yeah.
Now, and if the use is only having some speaker from Nevada talk to us, that's fine.
This is a fundamental technology. It shouldn't hinge on whether or not we're going to use it to vote.
Right. And then it'll keep us busy. Okay. So for just the last piece, and then for the rules committee meeting, we are going to discuss virtual meetings I think just to concur that people want the ability to do that. That sort of encourages us. That gives us the right to, yeah, I do too. But that gives us the support for going through what we're trying to do for virtual meetings. Okay, so that's one. And the second, and we can give a status. And the second part is emails, and that's whether people want to. This is how it works now. Do we want to change it? So first, this is how it works now. Do we want to change it? And if we want to change it, then these are some options, and which ones do we want? Somehow phrase this that people can vote. Which ones do we want to consider? Okay, and then the technology committee can go and continue to figure out how it works and what we can do.
Yeah, I know we have the FOIA guy coming after, but it might be of value before to find out what the current government regulations, the state government regulations are in terms of virtual meetings. Before we have a discussion of whether we want, and then the guy comes and says no, the governor, that.
No, we can. Let's work on
just find out what the current rules are.
Let's work under the assumption that we can, and if we find out in the later meeting, and say we're going to ask it in this next meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
So I think both of us are running kind of stretched at this point on all this stuff, to try and pull together as much information as possible. So those are the two things that were asked for rules, and then give the status on some of it depending on which way the meeting goes and how much time we want to put in, and might do an update on the Kendo.
Let's hope it works. Or everybody will be on the phone that aren't there.
Oh, we should tell Adele if she has a problem that she should just call in.
I gave her the phone numbers.
Okay.
It was on the I put two phone numbers on the connection was. I didn't double check the website of what you posted. If you added 2 phone numbers to.
I took your entire Zoom link
Yeah.
with the numbers. I mean, I'll look at it again, but that was the intention. Sure. Everything you had posted.
As I recall, I included 2 phone numbers in case
Mhm.
somebody else was going to dial in.
Okay. Is that any more comments? Any other things that people want to know? Mark, you're muted, Mark.
I do have one comment since we're on the topic of virtual meeting and about to wrap up. I may actually dial in to the rules virtual because it's easier to do minutes on a computer as opposed to an iPad. But Krista, I understand there may be a laptop we can use when we're in town hall. I can circle up with you after the meeting or tomorrow. But is there one? Are you the person I reach out to use a computer during a rules or any meeting to take notes and to presumably get on my ct.gov website and email them to you?
Right. I would have to ask. I could put in a request right now for George. There tends to be, I do not have one in my office for RTM use, but I can absolutely put in the request.
George told me today they did have one because if somebody wants to use the CanDAO like the Meeting Owl and plug their computer into it, it's how many cords. He says people come to meetings all the time and they don't have the cords that work. And so use the town computer who's got the cord so you know that what kind of computer you would be using.
So Mark, as long as you have a computer, will you come to the meeting?
Sure. It's just a pain doing it on my iPad and I can't use my bank computer for obvious reasons.
So would you want that for 6:30 on Monday?
We're 7:30. Are we 6:30?
6:30.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I had 7:30 again. Yep. Yes.
That would be a very short rules committee.
Any meeting I clerk, which is this one and that one. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I can put in that request to have it in room 119 at 6:30.
Yeah, I just have to think through ahead of that. How do I get my template available? I could probably
Mark, if that computer doesn't work, I'll bring my computer.
I've been getting by on the iPad. It's not terrible.
Well, no, but it would be great to have you in the meeting. If that was the reason that you had to be there, I'd rather bring my computer.
Well, that is why I like virtual. Yeah, it's a lot easier to do minutes. You see me over here typing. Anyway, I don't want to hold us up at 6:30. Hard stop for Mike.
So I think this has been a great meeting. Thank you, Krista, again for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me and letting me join. It was very informative. So I'll put that in request now, Mark, for you for Monday night.
Thank you, Krista. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Monday, no snow Monday.
No.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.